This caricature is of Bette Midler, and when I first uh, found out that we were going to be drawing her, I thought she was Joy Behar from The View. I really thought it was the same person, especially when I started Googling her pictures and stuff. I really thought it was her, but it just turned out that she just looks like her. So, um, anyways, I was looking at her pictures. I have a video that I'm looking at as I'm doing these sketches. These thumbnails are pretty small, a few inches only. Um, I had a hard time drawing a bunch of like trying to figure out how to draw her. I had a hard time drawing her, so I must have done at least 8 or 10 different thumbnails of her. So, but these are real small, so they don't take much time. That's one of the main reasons why I'm doing like these thumbnails, and I'm able to exaggerate a lot more. Also by doing the small ones. Um, but this one's gonna be basically it's gonna be Prismacolor, which I haven't done in a long time, and I did something a little bit new. You'll be able to see in a little bit with the Prismacolors, and I used some acrylic. And the way I got all the shading, you'll see in a little while, is with a mechanical pencil. I used a mechanical pencil on top of the Prismacolors, just to kind of do some shading, and then in some certain areas I would blend that pencil into the Prismacolor pencils. Now the Prismacolor pencils, if you're not familiar with them, they're like a wax type of pencil. You can't get them in a lot of countries, but they're a big enough a company. I'm sure they'll be available soon if they're not already. But I use those, and then like for the smoke that you see in the reference picture of the witch, I used a lot of like a watered down acrylic and just basically acrylic. I used different layers on top. But I did start off with like a Prismacolor, but you'll see that later. But anyway, so as you can see, I'm trying to get her teeth. I'm trying to get her teeth out, because when I look at the picture, the only thing that stands out are her teeth for me, and like her eyes. That's about it. But there are other things like her nails, and then you have like this weird fiery hair that's kind of curly, and it's got a little bit of blonde in the beginning and the roots, and then she has this weird outfit. But but the main thing is, I would say probably her teeth. But you could go like many different directions, and the reason I chose to draw her in this character and this movie that she plays in is because this is the only movie that I know her from. Like, this is the only movie that I've seen her in. I heard that she's like a singer, and she does it like a lot of movies apparently, but this is the only one that I've seen. So I was familiar with her attitude. I was familiar with like even her voice and stuff. But I was able to watch a little bit more on YouTube. I couldn't find the scene of this, of where I took this photo from. I just got the photo from like Google Images, but I wasn't able to find the scene. I couldn't watch it. I was really hoping to watch the scene of her making like this potion or whatever, but I couldn't find it because that really helps. When you're sketching to to find the mood of the person, and to get the feeling of what they're trying to portray in the movie. So I just couldn't find that, but all I could go from was this reference picture. But you need to know as I'm sketching these things, these thumbnails, as you see, I have that witch picture up, and then I have like another of her like in that witch outfit. But there's like 3 or 4 other pictures of her without that makeup and without all that stuff. Because I still, I still want to capture her likeness. I still want to get her structure, her facial structure right. I want to get her skull right, and the way her bones are, because you can't really change those. Apparently, it just looks like the only thing they changed was just her makeup. They changed like her lips, and they added like this really dark mascara or eyeshadow, and I think they completely took out her eyebrows. So other than that, everything is pretty much the same. Um, Obviously, her hair is not like that in real life, but other than that, like her cheekbones, and she's got that mass in her cheeks. I wanted to capture all those things. So I have regular pictures that I'm looking at as I'm sketching. So I have all those things because I want to make sure I have that right. and then I just added all those things. So I don't even think her teeth are like that. Those must be fake. I'm pretty sure they are. But anyway, she does have an overbite, anyways, a little bit from what I saw in the pictures, but not that bad. But let me see. At that point, I figured out that I'm gonna go with that sketch. I think I think I'm starting over, but it's basically gonna be the same thing. I'm gonna have the overbite. I'm gonna have like her cheekbones coming out. And then I worry about all the details towards the end. I worry about like the shadows and all those things, all the coloring thing, which is fun. I just really enjoy doing color. I really enjoy it. I wish I could just do black and white, but I almost feel like I have to do color. I really like to do it, so I just do it. So, but this one really attracted me to draw because of all the colors that are in this, and this is really the only character I remember her playing. So I was really drawn to draw her this way. Anyway, so I'm trying, as you can see, different ways, and I'm not liking those little thumbnails. I'm just trying to feel. And sometimes I'll get it the first time, first or second, but that's really rare. It's almost like we have to draw, or at least I do. I have to draw like 8, 3, 4, 5 different thumbnails, and it's almost just like a study. It's not like, you know. I hope the first try. I hope, you know, the dream is to draw the first thumbnail and to really like it so much that you take that further. But in reality, it's almost like all these thumbnails that I'm doing before I do the final one, it's almost like a quick study, or just like a study for my memory. You know, so I can memorize her features, play with them around, kind of explore a little bit. And it's just to kind of explore her features and stuff, and how they look in different angles and with different exaggerations. But as you can see, that one, I think that's the one I stay with. So I drew her teeth first, I think. No, I drew her forehead. I came up to the cheekbone, and then I did her mouth, and then I did the outside of her face. So sometimes that works. It works out that way. That's the paper that I'm going to be doing everything on. And then you see that black sheet? That's like a foam board. It's called foam board. I got it at Hobby Lobby. And the reason I slowed down the video so you can see it is just so you can see the type of paper that I was using. If you want to go back and pause it, nothing special. It's just like a thick sheet, thick cardstock paper. I was told there's a better one for art sticks, but I kind of forgot what that was. Eddie told me about that one. But that foam board, a lot of people use that at theme parks and, you know, doing their caricatures. And from what I can tell, there's kind of two ways of doing, or there's two ways of coloring with the art sticks. That's what I'm using, by the way. It's called Prismacolor art sticks. It's basically a Prismacolor pencil, but without the wood, and it comes like in a block form. And each one is kind of bent a little bit, so that way you're able to get like the best use out of them. You can kind of use the bent side of them to touch the paper, and doing that you can kind of get I guess a better shade, because when you shade on them, you're gonna have to press hard on one edge, on one side of them, and then the other side of the stick, the other end of the stick, you have it almost gliding on the paper, almost not touching. And you can get like a cool little wave, a little shading action as you run it across the page. But you'll see that in a little bit. But the two ways of doing it, there's one way where it looks kind of rough, I guess you could say. It looks kind of rough. That's the best. I think personally, I think I like that better, especially if you only have 10 minutes to do it. Like a 10-minute caricature. I think that's the best way, and I think that looks the best, I think. And then there's a second way, which is to blend and kind of grind all these colors together. It looks maybe more bolder. The colors look more brighter when you do that. It's more of a finished look, kind of glossy. But these are, I would say, these are probably the best type of pencils that do blending, or that blending looks really nice and natural. They blend real easy. All the colors blend together real nicely. They're real smooth. They are a little messy, but you know, it's worth it. The blending is really good. So those are the two ways. You can do it real light. See, for example, see the cheeks, that pink and the red in the cheeks. See how it looks kind of rough. So you can get that feel. It's just with one stroke, almost one or two strokes, you can get that coloring. But then see on the top part where that purple is in the cheekbones and in the ear and in the earring, all that stuff. It actually takes a lot of pressure. You have to press hard and blend those things. So there's see those. What hopefully I'm explaining it correctly. But there's two ways of coloring, which is the rough way, and then you have the other way, which is real thick and a little bit more bolder. But anyways, that's what I did with the hair. See how it looks kind of rough and soft. I did that, but eventually I come back and I just kind of I darkened it in and I blend them all together. So I almost feel like I had to do that. I don't know. It just was. I guess I need more practice, but I felt like it wasn't finished. But anyways, I'm using like a char pack, as you can see, to do all the black inking. It's a permanent marker. It's nothing special. It has a chisel point to it, and it's black, and those are pretty expensive. I think they were on like $3.50 or $4 at the art store over here in Houston. But the other brush pen that I used, if you want, you can always go back and pause it and look at it, the box that I took out. But it's called a Mars marker. I like it. I use it a lot. I use that for gigs. It's similar to the Copic, but the quality of the tip is much better. You can get real thin lines, thinner than the Copic, just a little bit thinner, but it's much more wilder. It's really hard to draw with. I would say the Copic is easier to draw with compared to the Mars, but the Mars marker, I think it's just a little bit better quality. The Copic also is waterproof, so it's a little waterproof. It's mostly waterproof. Sometimes it bleeds, but I think it claims to be waterproof also. But the Mars marker is not waterproof. It does bleed when you get water to it. But I'm using the art sticks there, as you can tell. And then with the white and yellow, I put some red in there. And then when I get all detailed, when you see me getting detailed with those small pencils, that's just Prismacolor pencils in the wax form. I'm sorry, in the wood form. And I've had those for a very long time. There I go using acrylic. I'm using paint with just a watered down paint, just doing different layers. And it all held up pretty well on that paper. It did bend a little bit, but not as much as I thought it would. I really wasn't sure where I was going with this. I knew I was wanting to do the Prismacolor pencils. I wanted to do it really quick. I didn't want to spend much time on it today, but I just used a lot of the Prismacolors, and I ended up using a lot of the acrylic just for the smoke. I'm going to try something in a little bit. I don't think you'll see, but I might upload it if it looks good on the Facebook group. But I'm going to try using flour, like cooking flour, baking flour. I'm going to try mixing that with my paint and kind of messing with it in the smoke area. And then I'm going to use some glitter. Hopefully, I'll give it a try. If it doesn't look good, I won't post it or anything. But I'm enjoying using different types of mediums. I'm doing the highlights there with a thin brush. I'm just using white acrylic. See that green mechanical pencil I'm using? Every time you see me taking that out, it's because I'm shading. So I'm using lead on top of the Prismacolor. And it works out pretty well. I do all my shading with that. I don't like take a black Prismacolor out. So I'm just basically using that pencil, that lead. And I just do some cross hatching, and sometimes I'll take the white Prismacolor and I'll blend that lead inside the Prismacolor, and I'll blend it all together. But I use pencil. I use pencil on top of the wax, and it seems to work out pretty well. So I'm doing some of the yellow highlights that are in the photo, in the reference picture. But that's about it. That pencil that I'm doing in the eyeshadow right there, I end up erasing it. I think I'll erase it just a little bit, but I end up erasing it, and I put purple on top of it, or I replaced it with purple. But that's about it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.